Hey, how you doing? So I'm Martin Wall Jr. I am going to be doing movie reviews. This will be my first video movie review. I used to do them in blog form some time ago. Now I do say movie reviews. It's a reviewing of a movie, so there are spoilers. It is not a movie recommendation. This isn't me telling you whether you need to go see a movie that just hit theaters or not. This is a looking back at something that's already been out for a while. Start with a disclaimer here because I do think it needs to be said that I am some jerk sitting on the sidelines in the comfort of my home and not actually making the movie, which is a monumental task. I have the power of hindsight. I do not have hundreds of coworkers, all with their own creative vision. I don't have producers who are concerned about their bottom line. I don't have the animal rights people, the movie rating association people. I don't have any of that. And I think it's important to mention because these are the reasons why your idea for a movie is nothing like the execution of a movie. And I think a lot of movie reviewers kind of get up on this high horse and feel all smug and superior because something in the movie wasn't perfect. Believe me, I am very aware that even making a garbage movie is way more impressive than me being able to notice that that movie was garbage. I've worked as a script supervisor, a production assistant, a stagehand. It's a crazy, crazy job. Everything can and will go wrong. So I think it's just important because I think we're creating like a society of people who stay on the sidelines and just smugly tear down everyone else's hard work. And I don't want to feel like I'm contributing to that. So hopefully I'm not. So I want to throw that out there. This is a lot easier than actually making the stuff. So today we're going to be reviewing The Killing Joke, an animated Batman movie that did go into theaters. It was in the 22nd July 2016. It was only in theaters for a day. It probably would have been there longer if it had done better. And that gives you an idea probably of where this review is going. And it's unfortunate because it was based on a really beloved comic book. It was in fact so popular that Mark Hamill said he would only return to voice the Joker if it was to do a movie version of The Killing Joke. Be careful what you wish for. So this movie's moral premise asks the question about whether or not we are the product of the things that happen to us, our own victimhood, or whether, no, you can't control what happens to you, but it is your responsibility how you react to those things, how you let them change you. And that is honestly a very good moral premise. There's a lot you can do with that. And taking the side of the victimhood in this movie is the Joker, who wants to prove that anybody under the right circumstances can become as terrible as he is, that he is in fact not to blame, that he is the product of what the world has done to him. And to prove this, he is going to shoot the police chief's daughter, Barbara Gordon, who is also Batgirl, and then he's going to do some sick, creepy stuff to her while she's bleeding out on the floor, and then he's going to torment her father until he snaps. That is actually a pretty good setup. We will circle back to that. So there were a lot of mishandled opportunities in the making of this movie. Now, unsurprisingly, the comic book did not have on its own enough material for a full-length movie. And while I personally feel a story only needs to be as long as it needs to be to properly tell that story, I also remember a lot of audience members were pretty mad at movies like Death Becomes Her when they paid full price for a movie that was very, very short. So, okay, we want to double the amount of time the movie takes. We have an opportunity there. We can dive deeper into these characters, their motivations. But unfortunately, instead, we funneled all that on Barbara Gordon, and rather than use that as an opportunity to make her a more interesting character, we just ended up with a more interesting victim. So let's talk about the filler, because there is so much filler in this movie. As you would expect, they had to double the runtime because of the length of the comic book. So we end up with this B story that has very little connection to the main story. And it has horrendous dialogue, especially when compared to the rest of it. At one point, for example, Barbara captures this mafia boss, and she has him pinned against the floor, and he says to her, "Well, it must be someone's time of the month," which is pretty juvenile and just stupid. It's lazy writing like that throughout about the first 50% of this movie. Then there's other things that are added in, even with the main plot. For example, the Joker has a dance number. Yes. In this incredibly gritty, R-rated movie, the Joker does a dance performance. And okay, all right, let's see the Joker do a dance performance. And he gets these, I don't know what the politically correct term is, so I'm going to say circus freaks. I'm sure someone will correct me for that. But he gets his circus freaks together, and they're going to do a dance number. And you're thinking, at the very least, this will be entertaining, right? And no, they shimmy to one side of the stage, they turn around, they shimmy to the other side of the stage, they twirl a cane, and back to the other side of the stage, and rinse and repeat. It just feels exactly like what it is, filler. So this movie does enjoy an R rating because it stays true to the comic, and that means a lot of blood. Now, that does hurt their ticket sales, of course, because not that many adults in America want to go pay to see a cartoon. But it does give them the leeway to go places they ordinarily couldn't. Unfortunately, it also can lead you into some bad territory. Now, I love the Marvel Netflix shows, but they do occasionally throw in the gratuitous sex scene just to remind you they can. And I don't have a problem with a sex scene, but when it's thrown in here just for that purpose, it does feel gratuitous, and it does kind of take me out of the moment. One such time in The Killing Joke, we're just told that the Joker likes to sleep with prostitutes. It doesn't really fit in a story. It doesn't have any business being there. It's just, hey, look, we can talk about prostitutes because we're rated R, which isn't even really all that impressive to begin with, but also doesn't really make a lot of sense. Not only does it not feel in character for the Joker to see prostitutes, it just doesn't feel like something he would do. I have a hard time believing a prostitute would take on a client dressed like a psychotic clown. I know hookers aren't known for having the most distinguished clientele, but there are limits. I just don't feel like that would happen. I feel even like her pimp would be, yeah, no, you should have let that business opportunity go. So that just felt ridiculous from every angle. There's one scene we, of course, have to mention. You probably knew we were going to get here sooner or later. There's one scene where Batman meets Batgirl on a tall building at night. I know, crazy, right? But, and you know what? Before we even get to the really weird part, there's a part that bothers me way more than it shouldn't right before that happens, when Batman first shows up on that rooftop. This bothers me way more than it has any right to. But he's carrying 2 cups of coffee. Not like a thermos from home, but like takeout coffee, like from Starbucks. So, did he go through the drive-thru in the Batmobile? What happened there? And I mean, he couldn't drive the Batmobile up the building, and he can't use the grappling hook with 2 cups of Joe. So did he take the stairs? Did he just wander into the building, just like, hey, I'm Batman, go into the stairwell and just walk up with 2 cups of coffee? It's a stupid thing to bother me, but I am just fixated on it. Explain this coffee. It bothers me way more than it should again. But in any case, the part that I'm actually getting to, which happens shortly after Batman shows up with his mystifying coffee, he has sex with Batgirl, who's the daughter of his friend. And it's creepy. It's just uncomfortable to watch. You don't really see much, but it is an uncomfortable scene that feels like it's out of nowhere. Now, maybe in the comics, this was something that was built up to, but I sure as heck did not get that impression from what I had seen preceding it in this movie. And granted, okay, Barbara Gordon is a cartoon female comic book character. She's going to have absurdly attractive dimensions. Yeah, of course she is. Why bother drawing her any other way? But it just doesn't feel in character for Bruce Wayne to hit that. Star-Lord? Sure. Star-Lord would take a swing at that. Maybe Tony Stark. Bruce Wayne, it just didn't feel right. It felt forced in there, and then everyone in that theater was squirming. Everyone was uncomfortable. It was a very poor choice, and it didn't really serve the plot. So let's get back to that moral premise. This was a huge deal breaker for me. This is the scene that's supposed to cash in on the rebuttal against the idea that what happens to you shapes who you are, and saying instead that no, how you respond to the things that happen to you shapes who you are. This is the scene where, after being tormented by the supposed death and torture of his daughter, the police chief tells Batman, you go get the Joker, but you do it by the book. That doesn't stick the landing at all. You cannot tell a masked vigilante to take a bunch of unregistered weapons and smash into an active crime scene and beat up a guy, but you do it by the book. That doesn't make sense. So here's the part where I shamelessly promote myself. I'm going to leave a link at the bottom in the comment section to my website, darkwana.com, where you can find the games that I make. I design games. I have a company called Darkwana Games. I'm using the royal we, it's me. I just released my very first product called Perfect Ramen. It's a deck builder. There's some other stuff on that website that'll give you kind of a hint at what we've got coming out soon, other games. It'll also have a link to where you can download my novels, like my Darkwana series. And if you could please just go take a look. If you see something you like, download, purchase, that would be great. And if you don't, then hey, I'm still happy to get the traffic. You can also check us out on Facebook, Darkwana Games. You can follow us on Twitter at Darkwana. And there is now this fun YouTube channel. In fact, you can also find tutorial videos for playing Perfect Ramen on this channel. So thank you very much, and I will talk to you guys soon. Gonna try to do one of these a week.